There's a street in my town, a place locals pretend doesn't even exist. It's called Blackridge Lane, just a thin strip of asphalt, squeezed between skeletal trees and forgotten boarded-up houses. The air there is different. It's thick and heavy, and you get this unshakable feeling that you're being watched. A few weeks ago, I made a mistake I'll regret for the rest of my life. I walked down that street after dark. It was late. I was taking a shortcut home, and that's when I saw it. A faint, flickering light glowing from the very last house on the left. Now, this house was notorious. It had been vacant for as long as anyone could remember, a hollowed-out shell that kids would dare each other to touch. But that night, there was a light inside. My common sense was screaming at me to turn back, to run, but my curiosity was like a physical pull, dragging me forward. I had to know what was going on. As I got closer, the silence of the night was broken by the crunching of dead leaves under my feet. The front door of the house wasn't just unlocked, it was wide open. Not smashed in or forced, just open, like an invitation, like someone had been waiting for me. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, my heart pounding against my ribs. Every instinct told me this was a terrible idea. But I couldn't stop myself. I stepped over the threshold and into the darkness. The moment I was inside, the air changed. It became musty and stale, the smell of years of decay and dust. But there was another scent underneath it all, something sharp and metallic coppery. It reminded me of old pennies, or worse, blood. The floorboards groaned with every cautious step I took, each sound echoing through the cavernous emptiness of the house. Moonlight streamed through grimy windows, painting eerie shapes on the peeling wallpaper. I moved deeper into the house, my phone's flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. That's when I heard it. A soft, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, more distinct. As I walked down a long, narrow hallway, the sound seemed to be coming from the very end of the hall, from the last room on the right. The door was slightly ajar, a sliver of deeper blackness visible through the gap. And from behind that door, I heard something else. Breathing. It was slow, heavy, and guttural, almost like an animal's. My hand was shaking as I reached for the doorknob. I had to know what was in there. I slowly pushed the door open, the hinges screaming in protest. The room was almost completely bare. Dust motes danced in my flashlight beam. In the center of the room, facing the far wall, was a single, all-wooden chair. And sitting in that chair was a figure. It looked like a woman with long, stringy black hair that cascaded down her back, completely obscuring her face. She was perfectly still. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. I called out, "Hello, is anyone there?" But there was no response, just the silence and the suffocating presence of the figure in the chair. Her back was to me, her posture rigid. I was about to back away to leave this place forever, when the hallway door behind me slammed shut with a deafening bang. The sound reverberated through my bones, and my heart plummeted into my stomach. I was trapped. That's when she moved. It wasn't her body that shifted. It was her head, slowly, with an unnatural, grinding sound. Her head began to turn, not her shoulders, not her torso, just her head, twisting around on her neck like it was on a swivel. It turned and turned far beyond the limits of a normal human body, until her face was looking directly at me, upside down over her shoulder. I'll never forget that face. Her skin was a pale, waxy gray, stretched tight over her skull. Her eyes weren't eyes at all. They were dark, hollow sockets, voids of pure black. And her mouth was stretched impossibly wide from ear to ear in a silent, jagged scream. A dry, rasping whisper slithered out from that gaping maw and filled the room. "You finally came back." I didn't scream. I couldn't. The sound was trapped in my lungs. Pure animal terror took over. I turned and threw myself against the door, fumbling with the knob in a blind panic. I don't know how I got it open. I don't remember running down the hall or bursting out into the night air. My memory of the escape is just a blur of motion and fear. All I know is that when I finally risked a glance back, the house was dark again. The door was closed, the light was gone. It was as if nothing had ever happened. I thought that was the end of it. I tried to convince myself it was a nightmare, a hallucination brought on by stress and a creepy old street. But then came this morning. When I woke up, I saw something on the outside of my bedroom door. Scratched deep into the wood, as if with a long, sharp nail, was a single word: stay. And as I stand here telling you this, I can hear it again, faintly from somewhere inside my own home. Tap, tap, tap. It started again, and I don't think it's ever going to stop.